this demonstration we're going to look at configuring the Windows Firewall. Now the Windows Firewall will allow me to block applications from accessing my machine, it will stop ports from coming into my machine. What it can also do as well is I can create outbound connections or outbound connection rules which will stop my machine from accessing things that I don't want my end users to access. To configure my firewall, all we need to do is come into Control Panel. Within Control Panel, what we're going to do here is we're just going to go to System and Security. I'm going to come to my Windows Firewall, and then on my Windows Firewall we can see that the firewall is indeed turned on, and it's turned on for all of my networks, and we can see I'm currently connected to the domain network. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to come to Advanced Settings, and within Advanced Settings this is going to allow me to configure my inbound and outbound rules. So now this is launched up here, what I'm going to quickly do here is I'm just going to move over to another machine and I'm going to try to RDP into this box here. Okay, I'll come up with my domain controller. What I'm going to do here is just come into Accessories. I'm just going to go to Remote Desktop Connection. I'm just going to connect LON CL1. So I'll connect through. The fact that I'm getting this prompt to actually log in here at this point here proves that RDP is working. So what I want to do is back on my Windows 7 box is I'm going to create a little rule that's actually going to block port 3389 incoming into my Windows 7 box. So we'll cancel that. We'll just move back over to our client machine. And on our client machine here, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new rule. We're going to create that rule based off a port, but we could base off a program predefined that Microsoft have already created, or I can customize a rule. So I'll go with the port number. And the port I want to block here is port 3389. So we'll then select Next. We'll block that connection and select Next. We'll do it on all profiles, select Next, and we'll call this one Block RDP. Right, we'll finish that one off there now. We'll now move back to our domain controller. And on our domain controller, we'll now try to reconnect to London CL1. And what we can see here is straight away we're not actually getting that login prompt. So that is proving that our inbound rule is working correctly. So we'll just cancel that off there and we'll go back to our Windows 7 desktop. What I'm going to do from my Windows 7 desktop here is I'm just going to launch up Internet Explorer. And within Internet Explorer, I'm just going to try to access a website. So what we'll do here, just come in. And what we're going to do is we're just going to connect through to LON-DC1. And what we should see here is we should get our website pop up. And we do. We get the Datum Intranet page here. So we'll close this down now. And what I want to do is I actually want to create an outbound rule to actually block users from accessing the internet. So we'll come to Outbound Rules. Right click, create a new rule. Again, we get the four options. We're going to go for a port rule. HTTP actually works on port 80, so we'll block port 80, select Next, we'll block the connection, and select Next. We'll do it on all profiles again, and Next, and we'll call this one block HTTP. Finish that rule off there, we can see the block in place, so now what we'll do, we'll try to access the website again. And straight away we can see we're not getting into the website. We're getting diagnosed connection problems, so we have actually blocked that port, and that is proving that the block port is working correctly as well. The last type of rule we can create are connection security rules. So if I'm going to connect to another device, what I can do is I can actually specify that authentication is always required. If you think about this a bit like how IPsec used to work and still does work, what we're doing is we're doing something with the connection between two devices. So what we'll do here is we'll create a new rule. What I want to create here is I actually want to create a server-to-server rule. So authenticate connection between the specified computers. We'll select Next at this point here. I'm going to go from any IP address, endpoint 1, to any IP address, endpoint 2. What we want to do here is we want to request authentication for inbound and outbound connections. What we want to do here is for our signing algorithm, if we just click down here, we can see we can specify different algorithms for computer certificates. What I want to do here is just go for advanced because I don't have any certificates. I'm just going to customize this, and what I'm going to do for my first authentication method here is I'm just going to add in Kerberos version 5. What I'm going to do for my second authentication method, not really bothered too much about that, so we'll click OK at this point here, and then select Next. In the case of the profile, we'll apply this to everything, and what we'll do here is we'll call this Kerberos V5 authentication. So we've now set up that if we want to talk from one computer to another computer, we're going to use the Kerberos authentication method as the endpoint authentication. So we'll finish that off there now. Close that down. So what we've done is we use the Windows Firewall with advanced security to create an inbound rule, an outbound rule, and a connection security rule. And that's the end of this demonstration. Thanks very much.